What's up, you guys? James Strickland here. Welcome to week 53 on my road to 700 pounds on bench. So this week, very, very exciting week. Talked to my coach last week, did 635 for one, kind of as a pseudo warm up, I guess, to see kind of where I felt that I thought I could be after the meet a couple weeks back. And feel pretty good. 635 went off without a hitch. Talked to my coach and basically discussed going forward with a bench only cycle. Typically, I would not advise against or advise for doing a meet and then trying to do another meet kind of back to back and having no off season. But the way that my training has been going, the way that everything feels, at least at this point, seems to warrant riding that momentum. I'm going to back off squats and deadlifts quite a bit. And we're going to go and see how bench feels. We're not going to take it all the way back to like a hypertrophy phase, like in reps of 8 or more. Probably going to keep it in the reps. And we might start off with some 8s. But basically, we're going to go with a set of 3 and then just kind of see how things feel with that, and if we can move forward and progress towards a meet, maybe, and this is a real rough maybe, in the middle of November. I think that might be kind of what we're thinking, but we'll see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the recap from this week. This week, the planned attempts and weights are going to be like 585 for a triple. And as long as that goes pretty well, I think we can progress from there. My current best PR in the gym anyways is 600 for 3. So we're up there. We're definitely not starting really low. But we do, potentially want to try to see if I can get a meet in before the end of the year at least, to kind of ride the momentum from boss to bosses. Feeling pretty good. Definitely feel somewhat recovered. I guess it's kind of hard to tell because we're a little bit early after the meet. It normally takes about a month or so for me to really see where I'm at, but I don't want to miss an opportunity. So go ahead and jump into day 1 for this week. This is my heavy bench and upper accessory day. My last warm up here is 495, at least in this particular day, because I'm going to be working up to 585 for a triple. Obviously, if I'm going up into the 600s, I have a little bit more heavier warm-ups. This tells me pretty much how I feel on any given day, how fast I can move. 495, not too shabby there. 585 on the bar. Showing you guys this. This is a new product from Texas Power Bars, one of my sponsors. You can check them out at Texas Power Bars or texaspowerbars.com, at Texas Power Bars being at Instagram. But this is a Cerakote, red color. Really like it. All right, first set here. Staying tight. Not as fast as I would like, but it is 585 pounds. Got a little stuck there. A little bit of body English. Looking at that, I definitely could improve on some of my form in that case. I know my butt came up a little bit. I wasn't real happy with that. But we have a drop down set here with 495, 3 sets of 3. Working on really exploding, staying tight, perfect form. Obviously I would have liked the 585 for 3 to move faster than that. Definitely have moved it faster in the past. But this is the first week back with sets of 3. It's quite a jump. It'd be like a track runner who specializes in running a mile going all of a sudden and running hundreds. It's just it's a little bit different change of pace, or actually probably the opposite. It'd be like somebody used to running 40s or 100s and then having to run 200s or 400s. It's a little bit more endurance, obviously, to keep reps going higher than 1. So set of 3 isn't too bad, but that third rep could definitely get to you. Working on some reverse bands here. Working up to pretty heavy double with these. This is taking about 75 or so pounds off of the bar once it hits my chest. 665 for 2, really easy. This was actually supposed to be the top set, and I went ahead and said, you know what, it feels way too good. Let's go for 700. This basically is it's 700 at the top, and it takes off about 75 pounds at the bottom. So this is basically 625 or so for a double. I wouldn't hold that exact weight, but felt really good. Definitely happy with how that felt. Moving on to some back work here, 365 on the bar for a set of 5 on seal rows. This is about as good of a seal row that I'm going to set up for today. I could get it a little bit stricter where I'm basically going straight up and down, but as long as it's got a pretty good angle to it, I feel pretty good. 365 was a little bit much. I felt like I wasn't getting a good squeeze at the top, so I dropped it down here. We're moving on. This is 315 here, just to make sure that I'm getting a steady squeeze. I really don't want to be struggling with the bar on an accessory work. Moving on, I got some paused floor flies, 55 pounds here in each hand, really working the pecs. So I was kind of looking at, obviously this recap is done after this workout. My elbows and tricep tendons a little bit are starting to kind of ache a little bit of tendonitis creeping in. I definitely like to wear sleeves to try to prevent that, but just working with heavy weight, especially coming off a meet, it's definitely something that is not always preventable. Especially doing these, this kind of aggravated a little bit. This chain tricep extensions, these are really, really good because you can work your tricep a lot when the chain is all the way off the ground, but when your elbow is in a little bit of a precarious situation down at the bottom, the chain is actually deloading onto the ground, so you're not working to pull up 100, 200 pounds, whatever's on the chains there. So this is definitely a good accessory, but if you've already got some elbow issues, any type of tricep work is going to aggravate it to some degree. You just need to find an angle, if you can, that will kind of help alleviate some of that pain, or maybe just back off altogether. All right, moving on, day 2. I've got some more seal rows, really attacking the back this training cycle. Moving on to about the same weight that I started with the other day. I wanted to see if I could go ahead and knock out all sets of 5 with these, with 365. You can see at the top, I'm not getting quite the squeeze that I really would like. I like to get a little better pause at the top, but it is 365, so I definitely have to account for that. I'm strapped up here, so I'm not having to worry about grip. I'm losing a little bit of leverage there on the ground with my feet, just with the setup. But moved on here, went ahead and dropped it to 315. No reason for ego. It doesn't play any role in my training. One thing to definitely think about is if you can't set up for seal rows. I know a lot of guys send me messages about not being able to set up like this in a gym. Sometimes you have to be pretty creative, and you're not going to always get this particular setup. Some gyms, the bench doesn't come off the ground. You might have to go on an incline bench. Sometimes you just have to do head supported rows where you basically lay your head on one of the tops of like the shoulder press machines or something, and just kind of do an upper body row. It's not quite a seal row, but at least you're able to work your back. All right, so moving on another day, I've got my rear delt flies. Moving these back into training. These are definitely a great accessory to work those rear delts. This is pretty light. Obviously not going to slam on 300 pounds on this thing like I've done in the past. Just want to work up and get these rear delts back to used to being able to do this exercise. Don't want to hop up too quick. Moving on, I've got some lateral raises, just cable raises, keeping core tight. It's pretty light, so I don't need to hold on to anything for the most part. This is just about 20 pounds, so just enough to activate that rotator, get some blood flow in there. I did notice on this day, like I said earlier, that my joints were kind of messing with me. My shoulder, I don't want to necessarily say it's a rotator. It's kind of tough to tell because unless you do like an actual MRI or you do some sort of scan on it and you know exactly where the pain is coming from, you can have some inflammation in your rotator and it actually radiates in other areas of your arm. So when I'm sleeping at night, I can tell that my, it's almost like my tricep or kind of deep into the arm, I'm feeling some aches and pains. So definitely paying attention to that. Doesn't necessarily mean it's something horrible, but that's just the type of person I am in the weight room. I'm focusing on how I feel, and I analyze things to see, if I need to do more band work or if I'm needing to ice more or heat more. These are a great shoulder accessory as well, these T3 raises. Mobility is a little bit rough just because I've got a lot of mass up there, but I try to get as much movement as I can. Moving on, I've got these 105-pound dumbbells. I couldn't get the hundreds today. Somebody had used them, or they were doing something with them. I think they were just sitting on them. But I got a little bit of bench press work here with the dumbbells, and a little bit sore and achy today. I may have done this day a little bit too early in the week, but never fret. It's not like it was detrimental. Moving on, dumbbell pullovers. This is the 50 pounder, and just kind of working on getting the bottom of that pec stretched out really well. Really good soothing exercise, if you will. This is not meant to be super heavy. Definitely is a great end of the week accessory work to stretch those pecs, stretch your arms out, get your shoulders really opened up. And it's this about 15 reps or so. I bet rep 10 or so is when I really start feeling it more of an exercise versus a stretch. But definitely like the way these feel. A couple sets of these a week can definitely be just what the doctor ordered to keep those shoulders healthy. But overall, getting really good rest and recovery, sleeping well at night for the most part. Nothing crazy going on, no stress in life, so that's good. Going to end out the day here with some Skittles, of course, and some, I believe that was Nerds on this day, and some 180 pound, these are pretty strict weight. There's the pulley setup is an actual 180 pounds here. This is 12 sets of 7 reps. Had a little cameo here from this guy. I'm not sure who he is, but I'm sure you guys can find out. Anyways, just showing through the reps, because definitely doing 12 sets of 7 takes a lot of time, but it is a lot better than doing 100 or so reps all out, because you're going to burn out about 50 or so, and really the rest of the time is more of an endurance thing. I'm working on that absolute strength for the triceps. I want them large, and I want them in charge. I want them to stay strong and be able to hold 700 pounds above my head. So that's why we do those reps like that versus, we do a lot of sets of smaller amount of reps, and we'll probably increase those by 1 or 2 reps each set, and then maybe even more sets later on just to get some more volume in. But that's it for the recap for the video. Overall, doing this recap, kind of had some time to really analyze how the week felt. Typically do that no matter what. Don't always put that on camera for you guys, but I always go back and look at my training, obviously, to see technically how things were, what I need to work on. Obviously, to talk to my coach and show him the videos and see what he thinks. And then I have a lot of time, between the end of the week and then the weekend, of course, eating up real big and trying to get recovered well for the next week, and thinking about what the next week's progression is going to be like. And with all that said, I am a little bit nervous, cautious at least, about racing forward and trying to do a meet soon. It's in the back of my head. It's more of a 50-50 kind of thing, but it's something I think about, because the 585 for 3 didn't move perfectly. I wanted that 585 for 3 to just blast up like it was no big deal, considering I had just handled 650, or more in training just a few weeks back. And then of course had a great meet. And now that I've stripped off a lot of the extra weight on squat, deadlift, and not really doing those at all, just kind of healing up. Was worried about the lat for a little bit. I think the lat is 100% fine now. I wouldn't be moving forward if it wasn't. But with all that said, I also have to think that it could just be that I'm a little bit fatigued, used to doing 1 reps in training, and then even going back to doubles or even to triples is a kind of a step, not really in the backwards direction, but you have to think, going for 1 rep, you get amped up for. Going for 3, you hit that first one, you hit that second one, and then fatigue's already hit you, and you've got to grind out that third one. Well, that's kind of a true test, at least at that point in time, of that particular rep strength, not necessarily absolute strength. And just because you can do 650 for 1 or 700 for 1 does not mean you can hit a triple for X number of weight. And so with all that said, in my mind, I'm thinking, hey, I should be able to do, if I've hit a PR on this, a PR on that, I should be able to hit a PR on a triple. That's not the case. And I knew that going into 585 for 3. But that's also something I figured, it's a light enough weight that it's not 600 for 3, it's not 605 for 3, which would be a PR. It's sub PR level. And because it didn't move perfectly, it worries me. And that's just how I think. And I try to analyze, what can I do better? What is it that's actually, going wrong? Is it something that's technical? Is it my mindset? Did I not get enough to eat that day or rest? And sometimes it's nothing. It literally is just a kind of a little mix up in something. You just, slipped your foot and it lost a little bit of tightness. It could be anything. It could be something that you really couldn't have prevented. But those are the kind of things that I think about. And yes, most of that is internally. I don't externalize that. I don't tell people about that just because it's kind of extra information that I don't think anybody really wants to know. But I figured, I'd share that with you guys, because if you guys are thinking that kind of thing, in your workouts, it's normal. Some people may not be that way, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I know with me, it's how I operate. It's the inner workings of my mental engine, and it's unique in the sense that I can then turn around and tell you guys how it is, at least in my world. And if you guys are kind of experiencing something similar, maybe we can relate in that way, or you can kind of move forward, or at least analyze your lifts and your workouts in a little bit different of a light, versus maybe being so much down on yourself where you're kind of beating yourself up for missing something or not having a perfect day. You can look at yourself and go, well, you know what? It may not have been a perfect day, but I can take this, and this away from it. One thing I definitely am very proud of this week is the 700 for 2 with the reverse bands. I think what the plan is for those, and I think this would be a good way to kind of sneak up on 700, if there's a way to sneak up on it, is to do reverse bands with maybe 10 to 20 pounds less resistance, or help, if you will, each week. So this week was 700 for 2. Next week we can go 710 for 2, or we can go 700 for 2, but less resistance on the bands. And so we can actually be handling the equivalent of like 630 or 640 for 2 at the bottom. And that way we can I'm still holding 700 pounds for 2 every single week at the top. At the bottom, I'm getting a little less help each week. And then maybe in the next 6 weeks or so, we can get up to where we're doing, 10 pounds of band help at the top, or at the bottom. And we're basically doing a 690 pound bench press with bands, and it's only helping 10 pounds. Anyways, so that's kind of what I'm thinking about for this week. Like I said before, I'm a little bit achy in the arms. My back feels great. My legs feel great. Everything else feels great. But I'm definitely going to focus on maybe doing some little bit more band work when I'm at home. Stretch bands, really opening up the chest, open up the triceps where I had the stretch band behind my back, and just kind of open it up a little bit, when I'm relaxing at night. Definitely going to throw some ice into the mix and ice my shoulders, so that basically ice all this area. So I normally just put a big Ziploc bag, or like a Walmart or store bag, for any grocery store that's got those plastic bags, fill it up with ice, tie it off, and just pop it on the shoulder for 20-30 minutes on each shoulder, twice a day typically if I can. And it numbs everything up, and it feels great. It basically allows me to not have to take like painkillers or Tylenol and Motrin and stuff like that if I don't have to. But sometimes you got to get a good night's sleep. And this is kind of part of the deal. There's pain, and then there's soreness. And I think what I'm going after is not wanting to feel so much in the lifts anyways. I don't want to feel any kind of pain. If I feel pain, that's what throws me off. That's what makes me think something's wrong. If it's soreness, I can deal with that. That's just kind of the name of the game when it becomes, when you're a powerlifter. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this week up. I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in. I think we're pretty close to like 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, which I think is amazing. Very humbled by that there's enough of you guys out there that are following along and really want to know what's going on with my training and life. I'm not going to do any QAs right now. I've just been a little bit busy in life, and I apologize for that. But I can definitely answer your questions. So if you leave them in a comment, or you shoot me a DM on Instagram, and if you're not following me over there, @swimhack is where you can find me. Shoot me an email anytime, swimhack@gmail.com. I typically get back to you guys within the day. It's been a little bit crazy lately, so give me a couple days to get back to you, but I'll answer any questions that you guys have about my training, about my life. I've pretty much answered, I believe, every single person to this point, unless it's some crazy message or something like that, and you guys know who you are. But anyways, like I said, follow me on Instagram, @swimhack. I put a lot of my daily stuff over there, what I'm eating, kind of where I'm going, some cool stuff like that. Animals are actually going to be down in the middle of November doing a kind of a day in the life kind of video. So that's really happy about doing that with my sponsor Animal. But I'm sure you guys will see that probably closer to the end of the year. They'll kind of follow us around, follow the family around, school stuff like that. But like I said before, if you haven't already subscribed and you like this video, definitely like it. Hit the smash button, hit the subscribe button, smash the subscribe button, and definitely turn on notifications for this channel so you guys can see videos as I post going forward. I apologize if I don't get to it every single week. Like I said, I run a web design business on the side. I guess on the side, technically, it's my main gig. But for you guys, this is my main gig and that's my side gig. Definitely I have 3 kids, so I'm always spending time with them. But I try to get to you guys, all the information that you guys need on a weekly basis to see how my training's going on the road to 700 pounds on bench. But once again, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Stay tuned to next week. I think we're going to move up a little bit in weight, or we may just stay the same and try to hit that 585 for 3 again, a little bit more perfect. But I'll talk to my coach and see what happens. But I will see you guys next week.